The first recipe is this protein oatmeal that I've fallen in love with over the past few months and eat a lot for breakfast. I use a 1/4 cup of steel-cut oats and then fill up the bowl with water just slightly above the oats. I then microwave for 20 to 40 seconds at a time until the water has absorbed and add more if needed. This process can take up to 2 minutes and you need to watch the oats to make sure they don't boil over. If it looks like they're nearing the top of the bowl, I always stop the microwave, mix a little bit, or add a bit more water, and then microwave again. Once you're done, the rest is easy. I add in a bit of almond milk, mix it all in, and then add a scoop of protein powder. After I mix this well, I add a few tablespoons of coconut flakes, some fresh fruits, and almond butter. I only had blueberries today, so that's what I used, but I also like adding strawberries, bananas, and sometimes apples. You can enjoy this hot or refrigerate it and eat it cold. The second recipe is another breakfast that is technically an overnight breakfast, but is really fast to make. I add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds to a mason jar and about half a cup of almond milk. In this recipe, I could have used slightly less milk to make the pudding a bit thicker though, or more chia seeds. I mix in the chia seeds and also add a little under a tablespoon of maple syrup to sweeten it. Then I shake the container really hard and put it in the refrigerator overnight, but it really only needs at least a couple hours to turn into pudding. The next morning I like to add some fresh fruits on top and enjoy. The next recipe has been a staple in my house forever, but it's scrambled eggs with vegan cheese and nutritional yeast. I love the flavors that these additions bring to the dish, and I eat this a lot for breakfast and lunch. After beating 2 eggs together, as you saw, I heat up a pan with some sunflower oil, add the vegan cheese, and let it melt for around a minute on medium heat. I then add in the eggs and a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, and then mix everything together with a wooden spoon until it has a soft, but not liquid consistency. I don't like my eggs overdone, so that's why I don't keep them on the fire for too long. I then scoop this onto a plate and add some cherry tomatoes on the side, and that's it. Very fast lunch. The fourth recipe is actually something my sister invented, but it's basically a healthy flatbread. We use something called Teff flour, which is an ancient grain that's a gray source of fiber mixed with almond flour. I do around 2 tablespoons of each for a single serving, a bit of baking powder, 1 egg, and mix well. I add some almond milk till I get to a slightly more manageable consistency, but still not too liquidy, and also a few sprinkles of salt. Then I use a spatula to spread this onto an oiled pan on medium heat until I form my desired flatbread shape. I add the lid, let it sit for around 40 seconds until it hardens, and flip it over. Then I add this dairy-free mozzarella cheese, some spinach leaves, and cut up cherry tomatoes, and cover it with the lid to let the cheese melt. You can also add any other vegetables that you might like. And within another minute or so, it's done. This was absolutely delicious, and my sister and I ate it pretty much right after I made it. The next recipe is a high-energy but easy-to-make snack. I take 1 tablespoon of almond flour, 2 tablespoons of coconut flakes, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, and then use a separate bowl to add the liquid ingredients. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, half a tablespoon of honey, and a bit of vanilla extract. I then add the dry ingredients to the wet and use clean hands to mix them. Here I realized that it was still too sticky, so I added a bit more almond flour and coconut flakes. You want the consistency to be malleable but not stick to your fingers. Then I shaped 5 small peanut butter energy balls, which can be refrigerated or eaten on the spot. For the final recipe, which I view as a decadent but healthy dessert, I made my favorite protein mug cake. For this, you need 1 scoop of protein powder, 1 tablespoon of cacao powder, a bit of baking powder, some vanilla extract, and 1 egg. I also use cocoa powder sometimes for a darker color and a more intense flavor. Then I add in some almond milk until I get a pretty liquid consistency, and I mix carefully so as to not knock any of the powder out of the bowl. If I'm feeling it, I also sprinkle some semi-sweet dark chocolate chips on top. I start by microwaving this for 40 seconds and then check on the consistency. Usually I end up microwaving for a minute to a minute and a half total until the edges are cake-like but the middle is still soft. You'll see it rising as it heats up in the bowl. To top it off, I add some vanilla dairy-free ice cream and eat it right away. Thank you all so much for watching. This video was a lot of fun to make. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe. If you try out any of the recipes, also let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear about what you thought. Love you all and see you in the next one.
In my head, this is where we